is the Isle of Roux, where no one can tell us what to do. Hello, welcome to the 68th Isle of Roux episode 68. And that made me think of Peachy Kitty's Farm, Peachy Kitty's Farm. Let's start by acknowledging what a lovely land this is. The Creator gifted us with this land that we are blessed to share and care for together. We acknowledge that the land we gather on Mokinstis is the ancestral territory of the Siksika, Sidipi, the Siksika, the Gaina, the Pikani, and the Omska Pipikani. We acknowledge all First Nations and Métis of Treaty 7 lands, the Sutena, the Ipkapi, which includes Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Goodstoney. We commit to advancing reconciliation guided by truth, respecting treaty laws, and humbly walking alongside First Nations, Métis, and Inuit. We recognize all who live, work, play, and make art on these lands and who now call this place home. No matter where you're joining us from, I hope you are having a great evening. A great evening and a lovely coziness.
What you working on tonight?
I was thinking of continuing with my animals. What are you working on tonight?
Vampirella.
Obviously.
So we got this. We were at the comic book store.
Went to Phoenix.
And we picked up some comic books, and we ended up with Vampirella.
Yeah.
And I was kind of struck by just the nature of like how innocent it seems, despite the murder, the mayhem, and the scantily clad figures. And I was trying to understand why, through the violence and the gore and the brazen sauciness, why in comic book form it doesn't feel exploitive. Is that my own bias, or how did that happen? How does that happen?
Yeah, as soon as it's a comic book, it's like
protected by the
oh, that's interesting.
Innocence of a child.
Kind of
You're
like
gonna need to move your seat a bit.
Protected by this way? Which way?
We'll just pick away.
I'll move this way a bit. So then you can come this way too?
I got my hands right here.
Oh, okay. Then I'll go the other way.
That would be great.
Pick
I
away.
can tell right away how the
Pick
evening's,
away. Anyway.
I can tell right away how the
Not
evening's
that
going to
way.
go. Can you get your face in front of the camera, please?
I was gonna go get okay. I need to get some stuff.
What do you need to get?
I have a pile of fabric there and the animals.
Okay, as long as you're kind of lined up to where you need to be, that's great. Umbrella. I'll try and be interesting while you're going. How long are you gone
You
for?
are. Oh, it's like right there. I just
Do it. So I don't think I want to do anything as brazen as Vampirella. But I was thinking that maybe some of the safety restraints might loosen up a bit if I did some comics.
That's nice.
Because I feel like we're like often, and for better or worse, probably for better, constantly thinking about how to keep the world safer and tidier and cleaner. But sometimes you just want to be a little bit, not safe.
Right.
And so I was kind of wondering, like, what is it about the comic book genre that would allow a little more playfulness or just straight up like edge? There's a little bit of room to be a little extra edgy, I think, with Vampirella. Is it also maybe because she's a vampire?
Right.
I'd also like to point out that I'm going to do like comic book style illustration, but ballpoint.
I love that.
Straight up ballpoint. I mean, I think I will paint it, But because of my conditioning, I really feel like you should pencil your comic books. If you kind of know where everything goes, though, it's maybe a wasted step.
That's interesting. Do you know very many people other than you that could just like ballpoint it? I don't.
I mean, I'd have to know more about how people work.
Right. Which was what we were trying to do at Rumble.
But also,
right?
like I think that there's something kind of personal and nerdy about comic books in general. Like when we were in the comic book store, I really wanted to ask the guy at the desk whether his dream was to be a comic book artist or a comic book writer.
Oh.
Nobody dreams about being a comic book letterer. You'd take the job for sure, but I would think that there is on some level every single person involved in reading and buying and selling comics secretly would love to be an illustrator in their own comic books. I think it's just universally an acceptable dream, like the higher the level hockey kids I teach, the more aware they seem to be that they're not going to the NHL, right? Like they've seen enough that they stop talking about, I don't have to do math because I'm going to the NHL, because they know there's a very good chance they probably might referee hockey or coach hockey, but they're
right.
I mean, I remember I taught a kid who they knew was going to be in the Olympics for like a specific kind of speed skating that not a lot of people did.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of the way to go, right? Like if you're going to get really into a sport, pick something that has
I know.
Pick something that has a low threshold for competition, like be the Olympic scootball champion or something,
Or like
it was like Olympic left foot speed skating or something totally that didn't really seem like a sport. I also just barely met once or twice this guy who was living in Calgary, but ended up becoming the Scottish speed skating champion. And I think that had to do with like he had claimed to being Scottish, but he's also like grew up in Calgary, so he was able to like pull on the passport, but like sort of maybe he's skating at a provincial level and definitely a national level from the Scottish perspective.
Right.
Not an international level from the Olympics perspective. But he was able to compete and there was funding or something. You got a camera?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what crazy people do.
So, Rich found, like, I didn't know this even existed. I have a Sprocket rocket, and there was a new development happening in the world of film. Jeff Bridges had
the dude
a wide lux for his whole adult life, and then they had lost. Like,
you gotta say who they are.
The Wide Lux company had stopped producing, and then Jeff Bridges had gone in,
and his wife
had gone in to create a new factory and a new version of this camera that he loves. And so it's cool because he has always taken photos of the shoots that he's on, like the different films that he's working on, and
he used a wide lux photo.
Yeah, and he always used his wide lux camera.
And the reason we ended up purchasing it now rather than later, because we could have waited.
Well, we were looking at buying the new version, but then the more we looked into it, there was an F6, F7, and F8, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like because the factory burnt down in 2000, I think.
Which is kind of weird because while you're telling me this, I was also going to tell you that that happened to Polaroid.
Yeah, that's right.
Polaroid had.
Do you think it's like espionage? Do you think people burn down each other's factories?
I don't think that's espionage. I think it's like a tax thing.
Oh. Oh, there you go.
Actually, surprised at how many people still think we sold the Rumble House. Like, how much did you sell your Rumble House for? It's like, want to play a game where you move over a bit?
Sure, but then my face is off the thing. That was the game, and I didn't know.
I know, but like,
you'd rather be cuddling with me than...
No, like art making is not when I want to cuddle. Because you've got sharp objects. You've always got sharp objects, and you wave them next to my eyeballs or my veins.
No.
Yeah, and I'm trying to concentrate on my drawing.
That's fair. I do want you to.
And there's a persistent and consistent, and I love you, but there's a persistent and like this. Watch, just relax. It's like
I'm
this.
not doing that.
Right next to the ears.
I even was doing that down on the paper because I know it's sketchy.
And the noise you would make if you cut me would be like worse than being cut.
True. That's true.
How did you get back in my space?
I'm not.
I'm not drawing.
I just drew on the table.
I guess I might be the only person on the planet that complained about you touching me. Everybody else would just go gaga. That guy's nuts. He's lucky. Did that get weird?
Was it ever not weird?
I don't know. I was thinking we're by ourselves, really. Then I forgot there's people watching as well, which is awful.
Like 20,000 people.
Sometimes.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah, when you think about it.
Yeah.
The hijinks we get up to. So we're driving to school the other day, and I was kind of daydreaming about this comic book. And the comic book would be kind of like, what would I do if I woke up and you completely forgot who I was? So like, opening scene, you'd be like, I gotta go. You'd be like, where's my clothes? I'm like, they're all over the place. And you get dressed and leave. And at the end of the day, you don't show up. And you've moved back into your parents' house and you can't remember where all your stuff is. And then I'd be like, oh, so like we used to go out? And he'd be like, yeah, right. And I'd be like, no, we did. And then like basically the story wouldn't be me trying to win you over. It'd be me persistently telling you the story about how we met, hoping that you bought into this idea of like, and then we opened up this art gallery, and then da-da-da-da, and then we da-da-da-da.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because I actually think the story of what we've done so far would be enough to woo you over if you didn't remember who I was. Like, I think that's the flaw. And like you said, 50 First Dates. And then right away, I wondered if it was like a little too close to something else. I can't remember.
No.
But I think what will be interesting about our story is the actual things we've done
already,
would be like probably enough to like capture your attention again.
You're like, we did what?
Yeah, right? And then
Really
you
sweet.
gave a TED talk. You're like, no, that doesn't sound like me.
Right?
Well, at first you didn't want to be up front and center, but then what I said was, you have to be part of the show.
It's not going to be Batman and Robin.
Yeah. This water here is way stained. This calcium on this glass and the calcium on the water container. And the only reason I'm saying that is I'm about to start painting out this glass. Or should I paint out of the coffee cup?
I can just get you.
You don't have to get me anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's easier for me to clean when it's out of your...
I can clean my own glass things.
Yeah. But
If you just leave them for a minute and let me give
I-
me a chance to clean up myself.
No.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm still putting the good water in, which is weird.
No, that's fine.
Distilled paint water. I'm gonna do a painting for my friend. I don't know if I told you this. And the only thing I haven't told him is I don't want to have to paint realistically for a while.
I like my little sockies. Sorry, kitty.
No, I just like it was a little bit like when Brayback asked for a painting. It's like I kind of like not having to please anybody.
Yeah.
And of course I love pleasing my friends.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like doing a painting for somebody that wants a painting,
Mm-hmm.
the idea of like worrying if it's good or not, or there are factors I just don't want anything to do with. Oh, like how it looks. Like I just don't want anything to do with that right now.
Yeah.
I just want to paint what I want to paint or not paint.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to do a painting for a friend, and I'm just like I'm stressed that it'll have to be good, and I'll just have to clarify. I'm like it'll probably be a lot better if I don't try and make it good because I'm just I think my brain is a little bit burned out from the 2,700 paintings we made to keep Rumble House open.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair thing.
God, I grabbed the cheap paints we have right now to give my lesson on how the color wheel's wrong. But then, like, there's always like that one kid that gets super nitpicky about the yellow's not yellow enough. I was like, well, if I grab blue and red, it's going to make a dark gray purple, and my yellow is way more yellow than the purple that's supposed to work.
Right.
But they're like, so it's such a shift in thinking to accept that the color wheel isn't as you learned it.
Yeah, yeah.
That there's always this like pushback, and it's fine. I'm not complaining about the pushback. Right?
No,
These are the kids. These are the kids that actually love color,
care about the color wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, and love art, and like you're shaking their
dogmas.
Right. So like I get
You're used
that
to
it's shocking.
Yeah.
But it's also so tedious to have the same conversation over and over again. Like, no, like just
right. And then would that be the first time you had that conversation in a while because you taught your last group and then they went through, or
I definitely have a tendency to tackle thing in batches when I'm at school, right? Like I'll do something with grade 7 to 12.
Yeah.
I don't have grade 7s anymore, but grade 9 to 12 now.
Yeah.
And next year do something different, right?
Yeah. And then in a few years,
because you get tired of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like, I know like we have some friends and contemporaries that have very strict programs that follow like all of the protocols. And it would be really stressful and jarring to have to constantly repeat and do the same thing over and over. That would drive me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever do that? Like follow a system or?
Well, I think when I was first starting, I had things that I would go to. But then as I get to know the kids and myself, it just flows. Like it's less about.
I gotta put an order in tonight.
Yeah.
Why you laugh?
Just because, yeah, that's one thing we wanted to do all week. So yes, definitely. Yeah. Did you ever follow a structure or like, because
sure.
When you're, what do you think? Like, what was
I had a pretty stringent structure when I did IB.
Right.
However, it was still pretty loose.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that, I think I stuck to the timing around things more back then.
That's fair.
It wasn't like the season really affects me now where I'm at because I'm doing things in quarters, right?
Right.
And so rather than go in the order that makes sense, the order that makes sense is 100% drawing, painting, sculpture.
Yeah.
That's what makes sense and that's what's easy.
Yeah.
But when it's like short quarters,
Yeah.
You want to get the clay in the kiln with enough time to dry.
Yeah, and actually I did the clay first this year because I started with the wheels and then I wanted to give them to you. So so we both did clay first and then went back. And coming back, I guess you always come back to drawing anyways, but it was nice. Nice. Getting my gold tooth on Friday. That's exciting. I love your colors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like there's kind of a weird feeling sometimes that like because these paint sets come with colors all laid out.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I'll probably use more colors than I normally would. That's the thing.
Right.
Secondly, I always feel a little detached from the colors because they are so pre-prepared for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm not starting with like one tube and turning all my colors into everything. I've got a yellow right here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sitting next to a red, right? So like it's seeing the palette this way.
Yeah.
Which is like I don't ever have to paint like that. I do that to myself.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like there was a paint show up in Trywood that looked kind of, it might have been interesting because it was called the Palette Show. And if it was authentically like a show of the palettes of the artists in the neighborhood, I would love to go see an art show of palettes. That's a brilliant idea. I kind of worry though that if I got there and it wasn't a show about the art palettes, it was merely a show about art and they used palette as like a basic catch-all for artwork, I would not love that. So we didn't go. We were nearby and then we were walking. That's why we didn't stop. Right?
I think we walked by on the day after it was closed.
Right. We were on the way by. We were going to stop and we missed it.
Yeah.
But if Theo was online with us,
yeah,
he would probably tell us because he lives in the Trywood area. It just sounds like something from the end of a game show. Like, if you live in the Trywood area,
yeah, that's right.
You can be part of our studio audience. Would you have ever wanted to be part of a studio audience? Like the Jon Stewart show.
Oh yeah, maybe like yeah. Maybe like that.
Or like
that's
how do people get into?
I don't think I'd ever want to be a part of a studio audience. Like that seems really scary to me.
No, that's not true. Because we go to Loose Moose all the time.
Yeah, but it's not on national television. It's like a little going into a cave.
You're a strange cat.
I like caves that aren't televised.
I bet you hate caves. Real caves?
No.
Have you been in a cave? There's a cave we used to go spelunking in.
I wouldn't. Oh, okay, you're totally right. I wouldn't want to go into like a spelunking cave.
Yeah,
like,
and the crazy part,
big open cave.
The crazy part of the spelunking cave,
yeah,
was that like specifically remember I had a size 27-inch waist at the time. And might have been at the point where I went from a size 27 waist to a size 29-inch waist, because at the cave, there was sort of like you'd go in like 10, 20 feet, and then there was a space that had like some ice and some rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally had like an 8-inch crack or maybe like a 6-inch crack, depending on where you entered. Yeah, no, and like 100%, like not everybody got to go deeper. It was just that if you could fit through,
Yeah.
you could squeeze in and go deeper.
Nope.
But it was the width of my face.
Okay, Rich, you're totally right. I do not like it. I was thinking like in the Lord of the Rings with like a big door and like
You want to go like to a cabin.
to a castle. Yeah. Yeah. Like a
cabin cave.
cabin cave. Yeah. With carpets, maybe. Maybe carpets.
But maybe dragons.
Maybe dragons that are
Maybe
sleeping.
that dragon.
Sleepy dragon.
Hold close, a sleepy dragon. But I do remember, like, if you went into the cave
And ate
and
something.
felt like you wanted a sandwich and ate a sandwich inside the cave,
No.
it could be like
Your last sandwich.
Winnie the Pooh. No, they would just have to wait until you're skinnier to get out.
No.
But what if something shifted is the other thing. What if you're in the cave? And I can't actually believe this was a thing they allowed people to do.
Mm.
Maybe we weren't supposed to go in the cave. Or maybe it was like obvious you don't squish through that little crack.
It's like, see a crack, don't squish through it.
I did. I squished through it every time. If just Scott has been in this cave. The other thing is kind of where we go in Fish Creek sometimes.
Yeah.
There was a sewer. And when I was a kid, those sewers were open. Yeah, like kind of like something you'd see in Stand By Me. You know what I mean? Like you'd go for a long bike ride somewhere your mom wouldn't let you be, and then you'd find the opening to a sewer. Which way is the camera? And what was I saying? Oh yeah, so you'd go into this cave, and basically, like if you were smart enough on your bike ride to bring a torch or a lantern, you could go into the cave for kilometers.
Right.
But the drag about that was we were kids, and the teenagers would come, and you'd be like 2 kilometers into the dark, and the teenagers would come and take your lanterns.
That's not okay.
Yeah, it's you. Like,
That is like Stand By Me.
no, I'm telling. Did that happen in Stand By Me?
Those are the mean kids that wanted to get the.
Right. Same group of kids, Leonard Bueller's gang, that used to take our Halloween candy after like we would go out in like sessions and do like a half bag of Halloween candy and then ditch the bag so that when we got jumped, the you wouldn't lose your whole stash.
So happy I didn't have to like plan my whole life around getting jumped when I was a child.
Yeah, and it wasn't authentically like growing up in Compton either. It was like a bunch of spoiled hockey kids that had nothing better to do. Grade 9s jumping grade 6s and taking their candy bags. I do remember, Aaron that shot our videos?
Yeah.
Aaron was a couple grades older than me because he's my sister's boyfriend. And he was a couple years older than her. So like they met at the Live Wire and they had a shared experience because they both grew up in Canyon Meadows. I think Aaron graffitied our back fence when he was a teenager because there was a little corner there by my back fence and it was called the Toker's Corner. The kids from Robert Warren would kind of tuck themselves away and get high in the little nook behind my dad hated that. Like that was like the ultimate offense. The kids were touching his property, but also smoking the marijuana. But Aaron had graffitied in the alley. Not well, by the way. It wasn't like stylish. But he was in the same grade as Leonard Bueller. And to them, of course, they were in grade 9. And amongst that grade 9 class, right, grade 9 to grade 12, there's this one turd who was kind of like weaselly and small for his grade,
Mm-hmm.
but would like spend his time tormenting elementary school kids, which made him the biggest joke on the planet. But to us, he was like Labo Bole, the worst bully ever.
Yeah. That's interesting how you're like you like put these things together and you're an adult and you're like, that's really lame. But like when you're a kid, it's like a monster.
Also, when I was 20, one of the first stories I got published had a bully in it named Labo Bole. And to this day, for the first time in my life, I just wondered where that name came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is it possible I stole that name from another story? Because I certainly didn't know anyone named Labo Bole.
Oh, I thought that was the bully's name in your class.
Labo Bole was the bully in my first big good published story.
Wow.
It was called The Dutch King. And it started out, the opening line was, my brother, like any other kid in North America, tried to dig a hole all the way to China. The only difference between my brother and any other kid in North America is he dug 10 feet down and kept on going. And so, or that he didn't stop when he hit 2 feet down, hit play 2 feet down. So the story was about like kind of an older brother with a wild, feral younger brother.
Yeah. And
they lived near the 32nd Street River Gully. So they were kind of urban kids in an urban setting. But they also had a very like kind of like rural, it was actually a lot like Coquitlam, right? So kind of inner city, but also kind of like
rural urban.
There was a swamp in the middle of this urban spot, right? Like, and in the story, they would play in the gully.
Yeah.
And the main character, the narrator's younger brother, had been digging this hole.
Yeah.
To China. And the kids around him called him Ditch Boy because he was digging a ditch. But the Ditch Boy got changed to Dutch King throughout the story because what had happened was, I think about halfway down, he realized that he was digging at the wrong angle to get to China. So he started a second tunnel to Australia, and it was a few meters away from the China Hole 1 and Australia Hole 2. At the same time, the main character had saved up all their money, and the brother saved up all their money to get a glass unicorn, of all things, for their mom's 37th birthday. And there was a girl named Becky who's probably a lot like
Elise?
Yeah, who they really liked. And Becky had a crush on the main character. Oh yeah, but his younger brother was just crazy about Becky. And then one day, Labo Bully is like pushing Becky around, and the younger brother just can't stand it anymore. So during the rain, he'd started covering up the China Hole 1 because it was filling with water and it was causing. So there's grass covering China Hole 1.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's China Hole 2, right?
Yeah.
So when Labo Bole was picking on Becky, his younger brother runs up with both fists locked together and hits Labo Bole in the bunghole with his double fist and sends Labo flying to the ground. And everybody's like, I can't believe that just happened. And then, do you know the story? The Dutch King?
No, that's amazing.
First thing I ever got published. He starts running. And so he's running. Labo Bole gets up and starts running and chasing him. And the younger brother starts running towards China Hole 1. And he's like, he's going to drop into that hole and be trapped and get beat to death by Labo Bole in his own dumb hole. So it was a pretty exciting scene. You could hear like I think it was the first time I ever used the narrative of kids' feet making noise on the pavement to indicate how fast they were going. So what happens is because the younger brother remembered that they'd been covering the China Hole 1
Mm-hmm.
with like a tarp,
Mm-hmm.
and China Hole 2 is right behind China Hole 1. And of course, everybody knows, including Labo Bully, where he's going. He's running to China Hole 1. Labo Bully doesn't know that there's 2 holes.
That's lovely.
Yeah. And the younger brother,
Mm-hmm.
maybe his name was Charlie, I used that name a lot, jumps over China Hole 1 and lands in China Hole 2. Labo Bully coming behind him doesn't know that China Hole 1 exists.
Yeah.
And drops 15 feet into the hole. And it's so deep that Labo Bully can't get out of the hole. So immediately Labo Bully starts giving give me a rope so I can get up. And because there was a pulley set up to get up and down. And I think he jumps and swings on the pulley rope across the first ditch. So when Labo Bully falls into the pit, he has to beg to get out. So the younger brother sends down it's a chair attached to a pulley.
Yeah.
Sends down the chair to the pulley, and he hauls him up right up to eye level. Meanwhile, in that moment, Labo Bully is still like 15 feet above the hole.
Right.
And as he gets to eye level, he loops a rope around Labo Bully's hands, ties the rope around his feet, guides the chair off to the side, and sets up a lemonade stand. Because that's how the fight started. Is Becky had a lemonade stand, and Labo Bully took her money and pushed her over. So he sets up the lemonade stand modified that you could punch Labo Bully in the face for 50 cents. And every kid that had been bullied by Labo Bully came lined up and punched this kid in the face while he's tied to a chair. And they each paid 50 cents, and they collected enough money to pay for the unicorn. And then so the story was called The Dutch King. And it kind of went to the Ditch Boy. And then, I think it turned out that his, I told that story wrong. Is the first hole was headed to China, but the second hole, because they were Dutch, was going to be more directed towards Holland. And so the name had evolved from the Ditch Boy to the Dutch King that summer. That's the summer my brother became the Dutch King, and blah blah blah. Cute. It was actually, the way I just told it is like obviously not very good. But the Dutch King. And so the story behind the Dutch King is, how did that go? I got that published in Blue Buffalo. And Blue Buffalo was like the junior magazine to Dandelion. And I had showed Gordon Pengilly's story I wrote that was kind of poetic.
Everything you write is poetic.
In like magazine class, in script writing class, I showed Gordon Pengilly some of my short stories. Gordon Pengilly had said this. I'm like just a 20-year-old at this point, right?
Yeah.
22, 23. Just started writing. I showed Gordon Pengilly's my short story. It was another short story. And he said, "Oh, this is good enough to put in Dandelion." And I was like, "You don't know anything, man. Dandelion, you got to be a professional writer to get into. Like, Dandelion's snooty." So I actually lost all respect for Gordon Pengilly. I thought he knew what he's talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when he suggested I publish in Dandelion magazine, I was like, that guy doesn't know anything. Like, he looks like he doesn't know it, but he just doesn't actually know anything. So I submitted The Dutch King and some poems and some other stuff to Blue Buffalo. The publisher told me he didn't like my stories, but the other editors did, which I thought was unnecessary. But then he said he did like the artwork that I submitted and asked if I'd be the art director. So I figured once I got those 3 stories published in Blue Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
I could then submit my other really good story that Gordon thought I should submit to Dandelion, actually to Dandelion.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up to see who I would submit it to, and I realized a year earlier, I mean, he was still the editor, but Gordon was the editor of Dandelion Magazine. So the editor of Dandelion Magazine was saying, "Oh, you should put this in Dandelion." And I'm like, "You don't know shit about Dandelion." And then when I finally looked it up, I realized, oh, that was the publisher of Dandelion Magazine. So I figured that one was kind of a shoe-in. Plus, he said he'd publish it when I had no writing credentials, and I just got my first writing credential. So I figured I was a shoe-in for Dandelion Magazine. I had 2 poems and 2 short stories accepted for Blue Buffalo. I was also, after being told that he didn't like my writing, the publisher of Blue Buffalo, Kirk Miles, asked me if I would be the future art director of that magazine. So I was going to become the art director of Blue Buffalo. I already had short stories and poems selected for Blue Buffalo. I had, I was waiting for the submission date to catch up for Dandelion to submit my other story, which I already had a verbal on. Mm-hmm. And I was working for Lori doing Max Mag, right?
Yeah.
All at once, Bill C-51 came through, which meant like Canadian magazines were at risk to American takeovers. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But basically, all the Canadian magazines lost their funding, and the magazine I was my full-time job working for Lori for this magazine folded. We put one issue out. It did really well, and then we closed it. And then Dandelion failed. Blue Buffalo failed. They contacted me and said, "Look, we're sending you a check for your stories so that you can put on your resume that you're a published writer, but we're not going to go. The magazine's not going to make it to stands because we're putting the remaining of our funds into publishing our last parent magazine, which was Dandelion." So Dandelion and Blue Buffalo were connected. I didn't know that. And when the first one I was accepted and failed was canceled in favor of getting the last issue of Dandelion out, I lost 3 publications in the May before my June 10-year high school reunion. And I was moving into my parents' house that week because I couldn't afford rent here at the Continental Flowers when Warren moved away for summer. So it was a pretty devastating summer. And I stopped writing for a good 10, 15 years after getting rejected. Not rejected, but like accepted by these magazines that were all equally closing off at the same time. Mm-hmm. Bill C, what did I say it was? C-16, I think, at the time,
I think so.
Was a bill that had meant to protect Canadian magazines for split runs. A split run meant if I had a magazine, I put all my content together, right? Mm-hmm. I pay for all the artwork, I pay for all the writers, I pay for all the artists back in the old days before AI. And I basically, the cost of the magazine is going to be way less than what the magazine makes on the stands, right. Okay? But the way they make their money is they would sell advertising to advertisers, right?
Yeah.
The problem with an American split run is it allowed Americans to take 2 pages out of their complete magazines, add 1 page of Canadian content, and sell the ad space for way less than what it would cost for a Canadian to make a magazine. So you're basically just recycling your material to a Canadian market, made it impossible for Canadian magazines to be sustainable. So that was one of my first big disruptions, is that bill not coming through when it needed to. Or I can't remember if the bill allowed it or didn't come through to disallow it, but Lori was counting on that bill to protect her. And then when it didn't happen, she's like, "I think what's going to happen is we're not going to publish anymore," which was brutal because Max Mag had I think about a 52% sell-through, and a 30% sell-through was kind of amazing numbers. Like, you know how at the end of your book run, you get a chance to buy back your books?
Yeah.
A magazine was on the shelves, and if half the magazines sold, that was like a big deal.
Wow.
Or no, if a quarter of the magazine sold, it was a big deal. But we had an over percent sell through, like over 50% sell through. So we really sold well. Mm-hmm. That magazine had a story called the Great Canadian Snow Shark, where one of the characters in the stories is eaten by a shark that lives in the mountains. And he's the Great Canadian Snow Shark. And then later on, they made a movie called Shark Avalanche, what was quite similar to my premise from Snow Shark. Does it sound like I'm making all this stuff up? Probably.
No.
But
It's like you've lived so many lives, Rich, too. You know?
yeah, well, those magazines getting canceled was pretty brutal. That was about the lowest, one of the lowest I've ever sunk. Because I was so close to some level
Everything.
of like the kind of success I'd hoped for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are you looking at?
Scott said, I just learned that Dave Mason passed away, a founding member of the band Traffic. He also had the one hit song, We Just Disagree.
You know what I discovered today?
Hmm.
And I'm sorry to hear that. But you know what I discovered today? I was putting music up on like where we shoot photos for ourselves, but then like a couple friends had asked if we would put the photos onto Instagram or social media in some way. And what I thought was interesting was I was kind of reluctant to put any of our photos on Instagram because it started out just something for us. But the response has been kind of nice. People are kind of interested. But also, it's nice to put up the little carousels and have music to some of the digital pieces. Because in the middle of our process, before we go to the dark room to develop art, that's gorgeous, by the way. In the middle of our process, before we go to the dark room to develop the black and white photos, there is a point where the negatives get scanned for the sake of viewing. And then at that point, we can take those negatives and put the digital versions of those up on social media. If presumably any of our friends have the slightest interest, they can glance. And if they don't have to glance. But they're there for people if they want to see them. And then you get to what I like is it gives you an opportunity to add a musical track, which is kind of nice because it's just like a weird dopamine moment I have. I wanted to put the Soup Dragons on, which I did. But guess what?
What?
It wasn't the Super Dragons. It was World Party.
I don't know either.
Me neither, but I used to have these like bouts of depression where I'd be driving the Jeep around looking for a place to go off the bridge. And invariably, the reason I'm still here is I could probably count out on 2 or 3 hands, probably 3 hands, the number of times that I was driving my Jeep at 4 o'clock in the morning looking for a drop that would assure my ascension. And invariably, CBC radio would be on or something. And in the middle of probably CKUA, I would guess, because in the middle of the night, in my moment of desperation, I would end up thinking maybe this is the spot. And then either the Beach Boys or in one case, it absolutely was the Soup Dragons came on the radio. No, it wasn't. Sorry. It was World Party.
Okay.
And but I always thought World Party was the Soup Dragons. And so I played the song and I noticed that's not the Soup Dragons. That's World Party. That does sound a bit familiar. And then I went and asked Kevin, I'm like, have you ever heard of World Party? He's like, no. I'm like, have you ever heard of the Soup Dragons? He's like, well, I've heard both those names, but I couldn't name a song. They're both one-hit wonders. So
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Was that wasn't clear in the early part of the story, I guess. The one-hit wonder part.
I was like just thinking it was like I didn't know them, but now I understand. That's why.
I think Kevin referenced Chumbawamba as like, oh, you mean like Chumbawamba? I'm like, probably.
Or Blind Melon.
No, Blind Melon had a couple albums. What was that guy's name?
I don't know.
As if you didn't have a poster on the wall.
No.
Smoochie Pace.
No. Blind
Melon?
Of Blind Melon?
Yeah, Blind Melon.
I don't know even what they look like.
Oh, he was a heartthrob.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Actually, so
I can see the cute girl with the bumblebee outfit.
So one of the things about Blind Melon is the lead singer was a bit of a like floppy hair ponce.
Oh.
And I always thought he was like maybe kind of tolerable for considering how he looked. Like he looked like the kind of a guy at a party that you'd want to beat up. He'd bring his guitar and sing like Stairway to Heaven or something like. Not that I was that kind of guy that would beat people up or even
or judge people on their
right.
Led
But
Zeppelin.
But he had that look that my friends would want to beat him up.
Right.
Like I'd spend the night trying to talk them out of beating him up. If that makes
That would
sense.
be a lot of work. Yeah.
He was on Much Music in an interview, and they were asking him about, because he did this video. He was out laying in the field of flowers with his long, like 90s floppy hair, and I don't remember the question, but his answer was, everybody asks me about this, but I'm not sitting there. I've never been in a field before in my life. I'm just sitting in a studio going, what visual will best reach the demographic to make me some bloody money? And I thought, what a horrible thing to say about
I was planning on saving your life in a party, but now.
Yeah, no, I hated that.
Now I won't.
I hated the way he minimalized what he was doing to this, like, he was like boasting about selling out.
How little he cares.
Yeah.
That's awful.
There's also a moment the other day when it occurred to me for the first time that maybe Ice Cube didn't mean the things he was saying in his hip hop songs. And at the same time, I wondered if maybe Blink 182, when they were 30 years old writing songs for 16-year-olds, were they like just a little bit like delayed in their development, or were they 30-year-olds writing songs that were going to make a lot of money because they were going to sell them to 15-year-olds? Like, I always took for granted that all those songs that were ever published were authentic, like pleas for help. At the same time, though, I did wonder, like, okay, clearly Bono is like meeting a lot of ladies on the road. So like when he sings these songs of just heartache and can't find what he's looking for, and like who's the heartache that broke Bono's heart to justify all these like sullen songs? And then I suddenly realized, is it possible they were just writing generic sad songs for people? Is it possible anybody could put that much effort into just
something they don't care about?
Narratives that had no meaning? I've been talking quite a bit, and there are people watching, but I mean,
you're interesting.
Not in a healthy way.
What is healthy in the year 2026?
I don't know.
Maybe
we're all gonna die.
Maybe like just listening to somebody rambling about music and painting is like pretty decent.
Tell me a story in this house where I'd find a blow dryer or
right
a heat
here.
gun. Okay, I'm gonna take it to another room.
It's right on the floor.
Gotcha.
Blue sky.
Ask Scott if he'll join us for a minute.
I have 3 World Party albums.
Inside my future, I never thought to wonder why I'm way down now. Way down now. I wish we could play that on this live broadcast. Maybe we'll play it at the end. See if we get bumped off. You're gonna get yourself bumped off. Okay, talk loud because I'm gonna make some noise. Oh, and I have a lot of coffee.
That's nice. Blue sky over my head. Give another reason to get out of bed. Mm-hmm. 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 Blue skies over my head.
That feels great.
What?
Blow jars are a sweaty sweater.
Can you bring my wide lux when you come back with you?
The wide lux. Are we showing off?
No, I wanted to take a picture of the broadcast.
Oh, I think we should show off.
Well, that's nice.
Look at my pot of coffee.
A pot? A whole pot. Look at that.
Bring you the dude?
Could you please bring me the dude?
Okay, so Jesse's camera is going to be called the dude or Jeff, which is funny because when I'm tired, I call Jesse Jeff.
And I respond because that is my new name. Jeff.
I think when I'm tired, the reason I call you Jeff is because from about grade 3 to grade 8, one of my best friends was named Jeff.
That's nice. Oh, Jeff.
Yes.
Also, Jeff Bridges was, like we were saying, Jeff Bridges was working on recreating this camera.
You talk louder.
So,
I think.
Jeff,
What fell?
you are chaos. The Russian stopwatch.
Oh. Well, that's not working. Maybe it could start working. We got some good out of that watch.
Yeah. Also, I feel like maybe it'll just come back to life one day.
Can I tell you something?
Of course.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I 100% know that I shouldn't put ink on this drawing. I 100% know that this is not going to improve it. Ask me why I'm putting ink on it.
Why are you putting ink on it?
Because I want to, and because I can.
Me and my dad are bad boys sometimes.
Yeah, right? This is 100% not going to improve this as a piece of art.
But you were the one that always told me,
Push it too far?
push it.
I think that's when you're learning, though.
Hmm.
I am at play.
That's good. Then also push it. Right?
Sure.
Like, what the heck?
Are you showing them the camera?
I was finishing something.
Which way are you shooting?
I was going to shoot towards this.
You should shoot into us to have a picture, and you can shoot out to demonstrate to the people your special thing.
Hmm.
Look, show them your hunkin' hole. Last chance to see it, and then when when Jessie gets, I know my wife, when Jessie gets her new tooth, right? Every time I make her smile enough that I can see the gold tooth here, I'm gonna yell, "Gold star!" Gold star will be the code word for she smiled hard enough to
Show
break the
goal.
fourth wall.
Nice. I'm very excited about that. First of all, I haven't had a tooth for about a year.
How long have you wanted a gold tooth?
My whole life.
Why won't they give it to you?
I want to be. Actually, Pirate Jenny is one of my favorite Nina Simone songs too. So
Does Pirate Jenny specifically have a gold tooth?
probably, but she doesn't talk about
So when I say specifically, what do you think I mean?
like specific to Pirate Jenny.
I think what you're saying is she doesn't specifically have a gold tooth, but she
Probably.
metaphysically has no reason to expect
not.
that there isn't a gold tooth.
Yeah.
But it's not implicit.
I could listen to the lyrics again.
Right.
That would be really cool. I think it's more about her rage than about her aesthetics.
Yeah.
Pirate Jenny.
This reminds of the monologue I learned when I was studying non-credit acting at Mount Royal, trying to decide if I was going to audition to go into the acting program.
Oh, that would have been a drastically different life.
We were like two ships, a crossing and a crossing in the night. Actually, just read recently an interesting way to learn a monologue. You're talking about wanting to learn a monologue, right?
I want to learn like a sonnet. Or
Right.
a
So the
poem.
trick is,
Yeah.
as I learned just the other day from the YouTube, is you start on the last line and you say it over and over again until you know it without a doubt, the last line.
Oh.
Then you take the second last line and you put the two together and you work your way to the front.
That's funny that it's the way.
It's well, because when you memorize something, you put all your energy into the beginning and then you burn out near the end. So
Yeah.
this is a way to moderate
Right.
that sense of like you start at the end, and by the time you get back to the beginning, you'll feel invigorated rather than.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Kelly's at Comic Expo setting.
I know.
Very cool. Sorry, she just said that on there.
Gotcha.
No, that's a really smart way to do it.
My students are going to come find you, Kelly. They'll be dressed as I don't actually know, but it was pretty wild. It's pretty wild what they made. Is Scott still with us? I'd like to know what some other songs that were World Party songs were.
Were they kind of like Chumbawamba and Wine Melon?
No. They sounded a little bit like the Stones.
Oh, okay.
That's actually why I think I got World Party and the Soup Dragons mixed up, is there was a couple bands that sounded a lot like the Stones.
Interesting.
Do you remember the Smalls?
Me, no.
The Smalls sounded a heck of a lot like the Doors. But
Oh,
they're from
interesting.
Edmonton.
Interesting.
Where's Vampirella? Should I do a Vampirella drawing, or is there a chance my students are watching Vampirella?
She's over there. I really liked your story about showing me our lives.
Yeah, I'm not doing that as a comic book though.
Oh.
That would be excruciating. I think the complexity of writing that story would require all of my concentration.
Oh, that's fair.
What are some other stories that would have required all of my concentration? Because like Silent Reader was easy to unload, right?
Yeah.
And the River Troll wrote itself, but
Yeah.
there are certain stories that would really require a deep focus. I would have to shut everything else out and just do that story.
Interesting.
There was a concept I had not long ago that I was going to write a story that would have required just a ton of focus.
Cool.
I know a long time ago, I wanted to write a movie script that came from a first-person perspective of what it's like to be on the spectrum. So, like, the scenes would be scripted in a way that if a cameraman would read the script, they would know how to shoot it to show what it's like to be stuck between seconds and stuff.
Cool.
But I remember thinking the complexity of how to write that would have been just doable, but super duper exhausting.
Also, it's so meta because you'd be considering how your brain functions and trying to.
No, I'd be considering how other people's brains function.
Right.
And trying to explain to them what it's like inside the machine.
Right.
To people that my focus wouldn't be like, what's it like inside my head?
Yeah.
My focus would be like, try and remember that nobody knows this, or most people don't know this.
That's what I mean. It's like, yeah, not remembering your experience, but remembering that other
remembering
people
to write it
experience.
in somebody else's ignorance.
Yeah.
Not the negative ignorance.
Not just like a lack of I know I'm trying not to.
I'm gonna lick you every time.
I'm trying not to pull it towards you. I'm sorry.
I remember that day when you like piece together what it's like for me when you cross into that zone and you're like, wow, I should have been.
I've been trying to pull it that way. I'm sorry. I am cognizant of it. I'm sorry that I did that. On the topic of you experiencing things different than me.
Autism. The thing that Jesse and I are referring to is it became really obvious when she was doing her audiobook, because Lori had reached in and poked the screen in front of her, and then she stopped. And she must have wondered if you and I are the same, because she's like, I remember. And she was talking about Rich of 23-year-old Rich when I touched Rich's screen and he pulled out a little squirty bottle and cleaned off the screen. And that would have been like a message, like definitely like a signal to please don't touch my screen. That wasn't directed at Lori, but directed at every single person that came near my desk. I kept a little mini computer bottle of Windex to squirt the screen as they touched my screen, because it was just all day, every day, clients coming in and touching your screen. And for me, it wasn't at all the fingerprints on the screen so much as when a hand crosses in front of my face, my brain goes blank. I lose everything. And same with when I'm teaching. If I change rooms, I don't know any of the kids' names, right?
Yeah.
I remember lots of stuff about them, but I
Yeah.
don't remember their names. And um, I don't know why that is. It's just that the names disappear when I change rooms. And it could be somebody I taught for 6 years. And once I'm in a different room, they're not the same name to me anymore.
Ship of Fools, Way Down Now, World Party, #1 hits. Like listening from beginning to the end. They are underrated. Excuse me. The head guy was also in Waterboys, Carl Wallinger.
Oh, I really
Scott,
liked Waterboys.
you are a plethora of music knowledge.
I really loved Waterboys. I think they had a song that was about turning around that was just phenomenal. Or was it? I'll have to look into the Waterboys. That must be Canadian. Those would have been neat days because, for instance, in Calgary, we were convinced that Calgary was going to be the next Seattle. Absolutely 100% convinced. And you kind of have to be like careful who you're rude to, because if you like lip somebody off, they might be rock stars next year and they'd write songs about what a turd you are. Like there's actual consequences to everything you did because half the people you knew were on their way to stardom. And that's definitely the best way to get the last laugh, is to write your foes into chapter books. Or
We were just listening to something and it was saying that, like, and you'll be in the book.
oh, that was
Betty White? No, the other golden one.
Yeah.
Which is not very polite, but the brunette.
Well, they said she wasn't pretty enough to be a star.
Yeah.
And that must have sucked for her time frame.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think for some reason that's how people talked.
Right.
But also, like, as much as I loved Richard Halliday, that was the criticism of him as well, right?
Mm.
That, like, he would just flat out tell people you shouldn't be in art school.
Mm.
Which is a pretty cold thing to say to a person in art school, but maybe a decent thing to say to somebody that's about to spend $70,000 on a degree they're not going to use, right? Like, I'm not sure if he did it to provoke people into
right, into greatness or into their own passions. Maybe.
Yeah. He said to me once that he thought I might be a better writer than painter. And that was like, I took it as a compliment, but I was like, part of me, I was like, wait, what? Like that. That's when he was reading. He read and he ran. And he ran was a short story, my first short story ever, actually, about
that's the one I know.
A creation myth.
Yeah.
And Bryn Pynchon assigned us in our humanities class to get to know us a short story creation myth. And I was running at the Oval. And the story I wrote was called And He Ran. And it was about a creator who ran on nothing nowhere. There was nothing around him. And he ran laps and laps and laps. And after an epoch of running laps, he started to form the boundaries of the universe where his path were in. And the boundaries of the universe were being held together by the momentum and speed of him running these laps. And do we have a mirror here? Oh, I have a red lens here.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a presentation. I got an idea. Do we have time left? What time is it?
Yeah, it's only 8.
8. Okay, I'm going to show you something. Something worth showing in a minute. Something that I taught my kids that nobody else, I don't think, ever taught before. How
You
about
do
that?
figure stuff out that no
Yeah, stuff that I've never seen or heard of before. Okay, so and he ran. This god figure is just running, and as he runs, bits of his flesh breaks off and becomes the stars and the suns and the planets and the moons. And he creates the boundary of the universe, which is basically the path that he's running. And the momentum that he's running is what holds everything together. And he does this long enough until finally he gets is that he doesn't want to do it anymore. So he starts like envisioning being replaced somehow. And the way he ends up becoming replaced is he's running back and forth to create chaos after he started it. And once he creates chaos, then the bits and pieces are flying around, and a spare random piece breaks off and cuts him on the side while he's running. And that cut, as it comes out of him, starts to form the shape of the first person or the first creature. It's not us. And the creature is this. No, it is us. The first person was one of us, and the first creature was this being on the earth that was running. And what he imagined was that this being would learn to love running the way he did, and take over his spot as the holder, uniter of the universe, right? And like the more he tries, the first runner didn't run enough. He cuts himself to create another runner, and then that creates like the animal kingdom on Earth, where each creature is pushing the humans to run. And each creation might be a different runner, and the humans end up being the last hope that this is, because it doesn't matter to him if this thing that's running is fast or not. It has to run for the love of running. The humans end up letting him down because they keep finding other ways to not run, riding other beasts and creating mechanical vehicles, and there's a whole series of like events that happen that create like the reason why they don't run. So he gives up on the humans and moves off to other planets and tries to do the same thing. And he kind of keeps an eye on this planet Earth where his first creations lived. And again, he starts to fail and fail and fail, and there isn't a creature that's going to replace him with the love of running that he has, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he moves on to other planets, and then he's keeping an eye on the Earth, and it was at the point where the humans break orbit and leave the atmosphere of the Earth and start to venture into space that he decides that's it, he's done. So instead of like coming back to punish the humans, he just starts running faster and faster and faster and faster to just obliterate the universe because he's tired of running, he's tired of being let down. And he eventually melts the whole universe. The only thing that's left, I was a teenager, right? So the only thing that was left was this bloody stump that he was trapped inside of, that was his consciousness in this stumped body. He was the only soul thing in the universe. And he couldn't move because he burned off his arms and legs and his eyes and his voice. But inside his head, he continues to run laps out of habit. And I was going to animate it, and Richard Halliday read it for me. He narrated it, which was a pretty big ask. Like, can you sit down with this story? But I guess he used to do National Film Board films, and he kind of enjoyed me, and he liked the story too. Like, I'm not explaining it well, but okay. Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
And grab me that red lens.
Yeah. Ooh.
Can you do me a solid? I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to show you guys something. And it's a toy I've been playing with since I was a kid because my mom, what she did was she used to like bring home school supplies. And I would play with them. So I'd come up with this way of playing with the red. One of the things I do is I'll write in red, yellow, and do you have a red marker? Like a pencil crayon or anything?
Is this okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Ow. Ow.
So I would play with this. Okay, so here's the tip, okay? If I put an X there, this marker doesn't really work. And then I hold the red lens up, the X disappears, okay? So what I would write is in red, yellow, orange letters, a whole bunch of numbers and missy things. And then I would put in green, blue, and green and purple letters, rich is cool. And then under the mix of all these marks, they get lost. But when you put the red filter in, you could secret code stuff. This is how I secret coded a bike drawing. So there is this lesson I teach at school where I put this point down. Now, the importance of this point is that this is the focal point where the human connects to the bike and where the bike touches the ground. So this dot here is the crank of the
Sorry. Did you say it doesn't work? Are you okay?
Yeah, it works fine.
Okay.
This point here is the crank of the bicycle. And really everything in this picture is going to be defined by this dot. So if this dot's the crank, I can assess that the back wheel will be about there and about equal distance the front wheel will be here. Okay. And then if this is the back wheel and this is the front wheel, my crank's going to have right here, this is the axle. It'll have the chain ring here. And then between this dot makes a triangle. So there's this dot, and this dot makes a triangle. And that goes like this. There's my triangle, okay? And then what I'm going to do is where this line, this tube here is going to have a matching line over here. There's going to be a straight tube across the top. This makes another triangle, but you have to imagine it terminates a little bit lower. So if this was a proper triangle, it could go up like this to make the triangle, like this. Could be my triangle, right? But there is a piece cut off right there, right? Now, it's easy enough to say that I'll have a crank going up and a crank going down, okay? And I'm going to have a flat pedal on each crank. And if I know that this is the pedal, I can't have the wheel go any closer to the frame than that. And if that distance from here to there is the same as here to there, which is the same as here to there, which is the same as here to there. Now, because of this dot that I started with, I know where the ground is, okay? It's this dot that informs to me where the human being attaches to the bike. My weight is on the pedals, my pedals are on the cranks, and the cranks are on that dot, that axle right there. From here, I'm going to draw the back wheel, okay? I'll put another chain ring here. I can put the bike chain on. That's also fancy. If I know where the front wheel and the back wheel is, my front wheel is going to follow the same structure as the back wheel. I make another circle. Now, my wheels aren't perfect. And also, this wheel is slightly bigger than this wheel. So I'm going to put my bike tire on the outside of the front wheel and on the inside of the back wheel. And that way I can even out the two wheels a bit. This tube here continues up, and that's the gooseneck. I prefer drop-down handlebars, so there's my drop-down handlebars. My rear post is going to come up like this, and I'm going to put a bike seat on it. Okay, that's easy enough. Anybody can do this. This is the lesson I give to my first grade 7 class. Right now they're grade 9 classes, but when I meet kids and they're brand new, I give them this lesson. You can put feet on each pedals. Probably the toes are touching the pedals, okay? I'm going to put a big old basketball butt on the back seat, bike seat, okay? Between this ankle right here and the hip bone of the bike seat, I'm going to put a triangle, and I'm going to give a little bit of meat to that leg, a little bit of meat to that thigh, okay? And the back leg straighter and goes down and connects it with the bottom ankle. So I've got 2 legs on this bicycle. Now the tough part is you're obscuring some of the work you put into the bicycle already, but it's the humility in covering up the things that are working that allows the whole conglomerate to work the best. So I put a hand on the handlebars. He's kind of holding the top of this tube between the butt here and the hand here. I got the shoulder at a triangle point. So the arms are kind of staggered. So I'm going to put 2 arms kind of near each other, blending in. And then a nice thick torso. Nice thick torso. And I've gotten a little bit close to the top here, but I'm going to put a head with the chin up. I would like to say that I'm a fella that wears a bicycle helmet all the time, but instead of a helmet, I'm going to put a jaunty scarf and an handicap. Okay. You got me? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. There is too much noise for me to put a second cyclist in, right? It's almost impossible for me to put a second cyclist in. But if I put this lens in front of my cyclist, it virtually disappears. Would you mind even just coming and around here and holding this here? So I put the lens here. And now when I'm drawing, I'm not blinded by the experience of too much happening at once. So I put my axle down. I put the back crank. I put the top. I got this tube here. I got the back bar. This extends up, and this is where the other bike seat goes. Okay. This tube goes straight. Make another triangle that gets cut off. This line and this line line up. I'm going to put the back wheel on and the front wheel on. By the way, I don't have the red filter in front of me, so I'm imagining I can't see the red. I'm doing the opposite of what I'm teaching you because it really does take a lot of concentration. Right now, you're just seeing the second bike. Can you move that side a second? But this is what I'm looking at. There's a lot happening here. Put the filter back. But for kids that are just starting out, the ability to close off and reduce some of this noise so that you're only doing the second bike without looking at the first bike is kind of essential if you're going to do something as complicated as having these 2 bodies cycling side by each, on 2 different bikes. It's kind of a trust the process situation where what you want to happen is the absolute chaos that you're looking at of the 2 bodies covering each other up and having 2 anatomically correct bodies with 2 mechanically correct bicycles and the riders overlapping into each other is a lot for a young person that doesn't draw to take on. But this is totally doable for anybody that wants to draw a cyclist. Okay, pull it aside. It's totally doable. That's super cool. To do the first cyclist on your own. And if you wanted to double it up and have a second cyclist, what I call is you're reducing this noise by using the red lens. And I just happen to have a box full of lenses this year because the math teacher found them, and she's like, I don't even know what these are for. Do you want them? I was like, yeah, I want them. But the other thing is you'd use them to make a mirror. So you can put it down like this, and you can see your lines doubling up in a mirror. I'm not exactly sure why they came in red, but they've been red my whole life. And then once you've got your 2 drawings settled in, you can turn your first red drawing into the black drawing, because clearly the red filter won't block. What?
M says, says, very impressed.
You can do this. Everybody can do this.
It's so nice seeing you guys.
But it's funny because this isn't like a tool they sell at the art store for doing drawings that are too noisy. This is like something that I had kicking around the house. My mom, I don't know if she stole stuff from school or how maybe it ended up in her box and she just didn't bring it home. But my mom was pretty good at having like math supplies laying around the house in a way that I would be able to.
Do you think it was by accident, or do you think she had an overactive, very brilliant young man at home? And she was like, oh.
Yeah. Also, can I tell you that when I give this assignment, I always start it by asking the kids to draw a bicycle from memory, because the other reason we do the bicycles is everybody absolutely knows what a bicycle looks like, but it's not until you try and draw it that you realize that you don't know what a bicycle looks like. And actually, I'm going to ask you to try something, if you could. Grab a piece of paper, and I don't want to tell you until you grab the paper because I think you might back out of it. Grab a piece of paper. And what I'd like you to do is draw me Charlie Brown from memory. It's funny, right? Because everyone knows what Charlie Brown looks like until you try and draw him, and then you realize you don't.
It's gonna look like Casper the Ghost.
No, it won't.
It looks like an octopus.
A mimic octopus? Did we send the apple juice to Emily? We did an apple juice for them early on.
We might have even brought it when we went over.
Okay, good.
Emily, did we give you your apple juice painting?
I want to be under the sea in an octopus's apple juice in the shade.
I help kids draw him. Why am I feel like you're going to divorce me if you see this.
I would never divorce you.
I know. But what if you lose your faith in me as an artist?
I would chase you into the dark. I was playing Death Cab for the emo kids in my class. Were like, can I request music? And I was like, oh, is that a thing? Like, do we share? And they all want to listen to My Chemical Romance. I'm like, oh, like the world has moved on. And I compromised and I said, well, how about we do Death Cab? And they're like, what's Death Cab? I'm like, wait, what? Like,
that's fun.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
And yeah, I was playing Weezer today, which went well.
Mm-hmm.
And what was I just saying? About Death Cab?
Death Cab.
Oh, yeah, Death Cab for Cutie. And they're like, because we teach at Catholic school, it's like, Catholic school, vicious is Roman rule. I got my, and so the kids are all like, they all twitched at that moment. I was like, oh, right. And that what don't hide it. Let's put it in front of
the scariest thing.
You got to put it in front of the screen.
I feel like we'll lose viewers.
Can I see?
No.
Okay, fine. Consent matters. Yeah, like, dear people at home, could you please draw Charlie Brown from memory and also draw me a bicycle from memory? Is this like a little cruel that I just drew a bicycle and now I'm asking you to draw? I just showed you how to draw a bicycle, so clearly you can do it, right? Now that you've had the lesson. Don't splash the computer. Don't splash the computer. So yeah, really. So the point I want to make is it's decluttering the noise. This lens cuts down the noise when you're working on it and gives you a chance to see the all the stuff. Okay. I read that as Isaac, but my eyes weren't working. We will bring this drawing as a gift. That's not bad. You weren't listening though. Okay, Charlie Brown. Ready? I think the trick is the nose is...
Oh, bigger nose.
Yeah, and then there's like brackets for the eyes.
Oh.
The head, I think...
is way smaller than what I drew.
Is almost perfectly round. And then the ears are like that, right? Charlie's got this random thing. And I think here's Charlie Brown baked out of his mind. And then the neck would be, I'm not doing a great job either, actually. Collar shirt.
He's like bad. He's a bad boy.
Bad Charlie Brown?
Yeah, he's with the smoke doors.
Were you as a kid kind of wigged out by Charlie Brown's shoes?
No,
Why did he have like so much foot behind his front foot?
I never looked at that.
Oh, I sure did.
Just drawing scary things now. I tried to do Mickey Mouse too with that.
Oh yeah, Mickey's a good one too.
Awful. Awful. Awful.
Is Charlie Brown? Is he one of the 3-finger characters or the 4-finger characters? Do you remember, like, 3 fingers?
3.
How many fingers does Charlie Brown have? 3 fingers or 4?
Three fingers. Oh no, 4. Depends on what picture you look at.
Show me.
3.
Oh
4.
wow, that is not consistent.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's not canon. That would explain why we don't know.
Don't know,
as
yeah.
Viewers, like, just depending on the mood.
When he's screaming in anguish, he has 4 fingers and a thumb.
Charlie Schultz. Bad boy. Who was it that was talking about 420 the other day? Oh, it was Doug. Doug put up a picture of Tommy Chong and he was talking about 420. I did my lifelong experience have anxiety about what was going on with Charlie Brown's hair too. That didn't bother you?
No.
What do you think was happening with his hair?
I just had hair.
Bald kid? How about Caillou?
I grew up with Caillou too, so like nothing was wrong with anybody. I was just like, oh. Well, I didn't grow up. I was older by the time Caillou was.
No, I think like I would immediately live action everything. And my dad's office Christmas party did the Charlie Brown Christmas special for their office party. A play of Charlie Brown, which really sounds like a lot of extra work. So I wonder if it was like an ambitious project that didn't get done, or if I have a false memory.
Did they like hire actors to play Christmas Charlie Brown, or were they the characters?
He worked for he was a draftsman.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like a slow building season, and to keep the staff busy, they were putting on a Christmas play. I remember like they had a big Christmas party. Oh, your dad probably had a Christmas party.
My mom had huge Christmas parties. We always got gifts and
oil and gas people.
Yeah, like no, it was like the city.
Right, city does big Christmas parties.
Yeah.
Teachers do Christmas parties is a freaking pain. Like I should get paid to be there, not like it's a good night.
I was gonna say teachers don't do good Christmas parties.
That's what I said.
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
Yeah, but well, actually, my first year teaching high school, it was like a bunch of 40-year-olds acting like bad 13-year-olds, and I remember the librarian was like passed out and vomiting on the couch, and they also, for some reason at this school, decided that the Christmas parties, instead of like the regular venue, because they would usually rent stuff, would be at the 3 principals' houses. So there was like 4 vice principals and a principal. And I remember Fidgel saying at the staff party, like he was going to get divorced because the staff had voted that they do the Christmas party at their own houses this year. So we're at Fidgel's house, And trying to remember the French guy's name. There's a shop teacher there was like completely feral, and he turned the power off in the middle of the party, just being funny. Like that was like a funny French guy thing to do. At the party, to shut the power off, and everybody flipped out because we were in the dark. But I remember it was really there was like 4 principals and 4 parties, and we did like a party crawl between their houses. Maybe things were different back then, but
I was gonna say like
I remember also being really shocked at the level of alcohol consumption compared to the fact that we were all expected to drive home and to 4 different parties. Maybe things were just more normal back then, but because of my experience, like growing up with bad boys, we didn't get breaks, right? So Christmas would be the last time you would like consume a drink and drive in the car because you knew that the check stops were waiting to like deport you, you know, like like I don't know, maybe teachers back then would get away with stuff. Like it seemed weird to me. But I remember the librarian was passed out on the couch, and I was like, these are supposed to be grown-ups. But I guess you kind of also get kind of institutionalized a bit when you teach, when you go to school, then you go to university. And maybe it was a lot more like a university, like they were all sort of cut loose and having a university party. By the way, all these people are in head office now. So that's funny. But I just remember like also, maybe I was a bit naive. I remember one of my administrator's wife had grabbed my elbow and was having me walk her to her car. And I felt super uncomfortable because I'm like walking down the street and she's like draped on me. And I think her husband was plastered and ignoring her. So she might have been like rage baiting him. And I didn't have I didn't have a sense of being like a young teacher. I just had a sense of like, I think I'd be mad if my girlfriend was acting this way. And it wasn't until much later that I realized maybe it was like a ploy to irritate him, but also that would have affected my career, right? Like, it's funny.
It's like interesting the things you.
It really was like being an adult trapped in a junior high party, and like not even like there's something about kids in junior high partying that just don't know how to party. Like it's like they've misunderstood the purpose of partying, and they've seen it on TV, and they're trying to like pull off something they haven't really figured out yet. And that's what it was like partying with the school teachers my first year. Also, I would really hate it if that administrator whose wife was hanging off my arm was watching tonight. So that could be just about anybody.
You've had lots of administrators.
Right. You hear the adventures outside of what kind of car is that? That's a police car. Police cars going by. When I had a condo before I lost my first house to the art gallery, Felix's mom let me paint a mural in the stairwell. And I kind of figured we'd be living there forever because I didn't want to live in a bigger house. So I painted the mural on, but I also used Sharpie on part of the mural. And I was kind of shocked that she didn't freak out about me using Sharpie on the mural. Why anybody, like, I wasn't thinking about removing the mural because, like, why would you ever want to remove my mural? I moved out and she sold the house. And I remember she kept, like, giving me updates on trying to cover the wall that the mural was on. I was like, why would you ever cover such a beautiful mural? But the Sharpie will consistently burn through anything you try and cover on top of it because it's just the chemicals, just like you'll see these eyeballs return any second. And so she'd hire painters, and the painters would come in and assure her that she could cover this giant undersea mural in the stairwell. It was actually a pretty amazing mural, and the biggest thing that was about it was I had to draw it in my mind because at no point could you see the mural because it was a tight hallway,
right?
Like just going up the staircase. And it was like, do you see our ceiling here? Not you guys at home, obviously, but Jess, do you see our ceiling? That was the size of the mural on the stairwell going up the wall. So it was a tall 2-floor wall because it went up the downstairs to the top stairs. And it had a underwater diver and octopuses and a guy and a girl and a kid, and it was like a really big, extravagant mural that Oliver and I painted. And then yeah, it was impossible to cover up because I used Sharpie on the fine details, which for so many reasons I would tell my kids not to do now that I'm a teacher. Funky Charlie. I'll tell you something else. I was just getting to the point where I thought I could read Neil Gaiman book again, and what? Oh, let's do that. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
No, can we take a picture of the screen
I have to.
so that people on?
I have to rotate it, please.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch anything. I was just going to see here, and then will we get a picture of that, or will we get a picture of this?
I did take a.
I want you to take a picture right up in front of the camera.
Oh, okay.
So that the people in the real world can see the. I'm going to zip it over. Wait, don't do it yet. Hold on. Pajang dang. There we go. Oh, also I'm going to look up Level Dole and see if he exists anywhere.
Like, take a picture. Like, just for them to see?
Yeah.
But, yeah? Okay.
Just so they can see the camera.
Should I make it on a slower speed? Okay, watch. Look into my wide lux. Keep looking.
Why did somebody say I'm freaking them out? The caves are freaky. Oh, the caves are freaky. Yeah. It's a wide lux. It's a panoramic camera that Jeff Bridges was really enamored with.
Because I bought for him in the 70s.
Yeah, and he shot movie photos. So it's a panoramic. Where's my hands? Panoramic
swing lens.
Yeah, and the camera goes, and so we saw one online and decided that it would be worth our while to buy one, and we were going to wait 2 or 3 years for Jeff Bridges' new version of this camera to come out. They don't have a price ready for what it's going to cost, and it could be really, really expensive. And I think if it is really, really expensive, what we're going to find is people will look at it and go, oh, I love that camera, but I'm going to hunt down the last of the 50-year-old ones.
Yeah.
So the one we have here is a 50-year-old camera.
Closer to 40.
We ordered it from Japan. I'm going to say, maybe I'll get myself canceled. People hate AI. But we were able to search for this on AI, and it scanned through
a lot of
all of the eBay
files,
and it gave us a highly respectable dealer. That was about
the best dealer.
It was about the 50th down.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was the best price, and it had the best response.
Yeah.
And it would have taken me 3 days to find that with my eyeballs on eBay. And you can say, yeah, but without using your mind's going to rot. I'm actually pretty happy that we were able to find this camera.
Because I'm learning how to use a brand new thing now.
Right. And the other thing that happened, can I take a picture right now? Look, I'll point at myself. It'll be a self-portrait, and they can see it go, okay? Yeah? And there's no...
I did already.
There's no focus, right?
No focus.
Just, wow, that's crazy. Okay, lean in behind me. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's a 140-degree angle, so I feel like no matter what.
That was an up nose shot. But yeah, it just occurred to me that we're going to get the best deal on this if we buy it now, and they're actually going up in value because people are developing an interest in these cameras. It perfectly suited you.
Yeah, because I have my sprocket rocket, but it's like really plastic
Yeah,
and not gonna last forever.
right. It's
And-
temporary. It's a
yeah.
toy. It's a temporary toy.
And like a lot of things, you're trying to help me with it, but it's more like we wanted to find something more permanent, more like
Mm-hmm.
sustainable. I guess.
Okay. I think my brain is done drawing right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like this paper. Am I using the expensive paper? I hope not.
No, I think you're using the like.
I'm done
regular
painting.
wall.
I'm just going to play with the brush. Oh, can you look up Labo Bole for me and see if that was a character that existed anywhere? Or where the hell I got that name from?
Not Labubu.
Labubu Bole?
No,
What's Labubu?
it's like those scary things that people have on their. Look, I'm just learning about this.
It's not that.
No, there's not a Labubu. No, you're good.
Hmm.
I don't know where you did get it from though.
Yeah, it's like not even like a real name. I just made up the sound.
Hmm. And oh yeah, who was the other guys in your world that you created?
Ogobos.
Ogobos.
I was telling Zach Abbott about when I was young. I was very interested in graffiti art. I was interested in when Keith Haring was my first favorite graffiti artist. I liked that he had an art school background. And one of the things Keith Haring had really done was there were these ad spaces that weren't getting paid for because there was in the 80s there was like what do you call it, like when people weren't making money,
Depression.
not a depression but on its way, a recession. They were in a recession, and so companies weren't paying for the ad spaces. And so what the subway was doing was covering up their ads with black paper, and he was on his way to art school. So he would do these chalk drawings. That's where he got that funky style from Keith Haring. That style of like the dogs barking and stuff.
Yeah.
Was him filling these black pieces of paper with artwork. He was just taking empty spaces and getting yeah, right. So I really dug that. And what I ended up doing was so I really believe in public art. I also believe in not asking permission. I also believe one of the challenges that I personally have, this isn't a judgment, it's just a personal problem I have with graffiti art, is that when you're in the public space, you're intruding on the zeitgeist and the experience of everybody in that space, right? So just out of humility, which is hard for me even to say out loud, I do think that you have an obligation. Like when we put artwork in the gallery, people would be like, do you guys show nudes? It's like, never even considered that not being a thing. Like we wouldn't put figure drawing paintings in the window for the daycare to see, right? If somebody made a painting that had a human body that was unclothed, it wasn't like an ad space we put in the window. Rather, we did recognize if this was sensitive content, the sensitive content should be further back in the gallery that you walk into. Once you go in the gallery, it's your obligation to make a decision whether you're comfortable with sensitive content or not, right? Mm-hmm. I don't love when an art gallery has a warning for sensitive content, because I think you should go to a gallery expecting to have your mind blown on every level. But I don't hate it. I just don't love it. I almost always end up kind of doing a little barf in my mouth when I see a sensitive content warning, especially in a big gallery. It feels like we're pandering to society's finickiness. But with graffiti, I do have a sense that, these young guys are like risking their lives, young girls and young guys risking their lives to spread their artwork, painting on stuff they don't own. And that, kids were blowing up on the third rails back in New York, and they had a system set up where the train dogs were like permitted to eat people. Really, really intense commitment to beautifying your neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the public work I was doing, I wanted it to be respectful and for it to respect ownership and property, not because I was a square, but because it fit into my philosophy of working on humility. I'm not going to call myself humble because anybody from my school knew me. I lacked humility to a certain extent back then as well. But I did shoot for humility by making temporary art pieces, and my temporary art pieces fit perfectly into the ad spaces on the C train and the buses. So if it was crowded enough on the bus and the bus driver was busy, I could reach up and pop my I don't remember the dimensions. It's probably like probably 1 foot by 3 foot posters ish.
Yeah, like Mayfair.
They had to stay pretty flat because if I rolled them, they wouldn't pop into the ad spaces quick enough.
Yeah.
But I could reach up and pop them into the ad spaces when nobody was looking, on a left-hand turn or something. And I just remember the one time I popped a few up, and this like random, and he was a young guy, like almost like random other teenager on the train, walked over and was hovering by the help button. And I was like, I just remember feeling like super territorial about why does that kid care whether I'm putting ads in the ad space? The Ogobos were a fictitious bunch that did crazy things to each other and could have at any point lived better, happier lives, but were just addicted to competing to have the most. And it was a social commentary on problems of the world. And I was using the Ogobo
that purple stuck into that yellow
space to comment on frustrations I had with the
with late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
I really love you.
Speaking of which, I want to talk about the time change, which I've decided I don't care about, but I do care about the fact that we had a referendum. What's happening?
Scott's totally right. It's like how sensitive content is part of the human body has me lost. If you didn't have nudes in the gallery, that would be unnatural. Yeah, like
there's
we
that
learn
and the fact,
from each other.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's that and the fact that we are all nude all the time.
Yeah,
it's an illusion that the clothes are covering us because beneath our clothes, we're naked all the time.
And like when you learn how to draw, you know what bodies look like. Like there's no like you said, it's like there's no illusions. Like it's not like, oh, I'm surprised you have a body, like it's just like we wear clothes to like decorate ourselves. And it's like, yeah, it is silly. Sorry, I cut you off, but I was like.
You never have to apologize for cutting me off. I like when you speak. Right? And here in this space, I'm speaking ad nauseum because we have to fill the space. Maybe it would be nice if we just sat here and drew and didn't talk. Maybe people would like that better.
I really like the colors you used.
Yeah.
Oh, I did a storm cloud today.
Wait, did it have a song?
Oil pastel.
Did it have a song?
I'm just a little black rain cloud hovering over the honey tree.
What was it about Winnie the Pooh that seemed so incredibly special when we were kids? Winnie the Pooh seemed like okay, Kevin often talks about Mickey Mouse and the effect that Mickey Mouse has on kids who may have never seen a Mickey Mouse cartoon, because Mickey Mouse cartoons weren't even really a huge part of our childhoods. There was like the odd time you'd see Mickey appear somewhere, but it wasn't like I saw a lot more Bugs Bunny than I saw Mickey Mouse, right?
Yeah.
But Mickey Mouse is such an intense part of our culture and society.
Yeah.
But even more so, when Winnie the Pooh showed up, it was special time.
Some good sweetness is happening.
Yeah. Would I have seen Winnie the Pooh in the theaters, or how did I even see Winnie the Pooh as a kid? There's the books, of course.
Yeah. But I don't know. You're right. I'm not sure.
I think it was the magical world of Disney, and maybe they would some weeks it'd be like, watching Attenborough, but not very well. Like you're watching deer in California run around. You're like, well, I waited all week for this. And then some weeks you turn it on and it was like Goofy. And you'd be like, oh my God, Goofy's on.
So good. That was really good.
I know, thanks.
I love Goofy. The Goofy movie.
I like loud sneezed for my class for the first time today, and they're like, Mr. Taylor, what was that? I was like, well,
it just feels really good.
Sometimes you just gotta let one rip.
I love that. Kind of opposite. A kid sneezed really loud. Not today. It was like this week though. It was a sneeze, and they looked like mortified because they did let it go. And I was like, no, I feel so good. And they're like, yes, it does. Like, you don't need to feel bad. So it's good. There's good things happening. Good sneezes happening. Oh, yeah, but Winnie the Pooh, definitely sweet. Just the most comfortable sweetness you could imagine.
We're going to cut it short tonight. I'll tell you why. There are lots of people with us tonight, but the reason we're going to cut it short tonight is we developed Jesse's first load of wide looks, and that was the opposite of loud screen. Look, I fogged my glasses. We're gonna develop some film tonight. I went to go see my mom, and my mom was having a nap, so I didn't see her. And then on the way out I'd walked over from where you were having your dental appointment. I was walking back across the church where St. Mary's University is, and a coyote was walking, and he was like this, like a scene from a Wes Anderson film. He had his tongue hanging out, and he's walking sideways, looking at me over his shoulder, and he went right by. And I think I got a picture of him. I remember him being arm's length away, and when the pictures came out, he was a good way across the field. I think this is for you to work on next time.
I love this so much.
But it's for you to work on next time. Okay?
Oh, you are so beautiful.
Yeah, it was just like the face on that coyote was so close and so intense. And then I got the photos back, and he's like a tiny dot. Which I don't know if I'm having a false memory, or maybe he did laps and I took a picture of him. It seems to me I took pictures as he's walking away, but I don't remember taking the cap off. There's a lot happening, but he was really nearby.
It's pretty sweet. Do, 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 do. I'm just a little black rain cloud hovering over the honey tree. I'm just a little black rain cloud. Pay no attention to little me. Everyone knows that a rain cloud doesn't need honey, no, not a nip. I'm just floating along, singing my song, wondering where I will drip.
Bum, bum.